Simulator 3. In this episode, I will go over how to use BLOSM for Blender to generate satellite images and terrain for your airport. This is an alternative way to do this other than Terraland, which we covered in the last video. That is a paid add-on for Unity that costs $50. If you don't want to spend any money, BLOSM for Blender will be your best bet to get the best quality images and terrain. First of all, you will have to go to Blender's website to download Blender, and also go to Gumroad to get BLOSM for Blender. It's just the first one to show up if you Google BLOSM for Blender download. And after you have downloaded both of those, you have to install Blender and create a new file in Blender. Then you can delete the cube first, go to Edit, Preferences, and go to the add-on. Find this little arrow on the top right hand side and choose Install from Disk. And here you will have to choose the zip file that you have gotten from your BLOSM download. It should come as a zip file, both the premium version and the normal version. The premium version costs money, but that comes with slightly more features, but none of those features will be used in the video today, so the normal version is completely enough. But either way, you will have to choose the zip file and just click Install from Disk. You do not have to extract the zip file or do anything to it, just choose the zip file is simply enough. After you've clicked Install from Disk, there should be this panel called BLOSM showing up here in the list of add-ons. That indicates that BLOSM has been successfully installed to Blender. And now in the panel, you can see there's some information that you have to fill out. This might vary if you are in the premium version or the normal version, but the ones that you'll have to fill out to get the images and terrain for today will be a directory to store your files and an access token of either ArcGIS or Mapbox, which will be your source of satellite imagery download. And I personally recommend ArcGIS. This is free to get without, and you don't even need a credit card either. And you'll just have to go to this website over here and follow this tutorial to get your API key. After you have gotten it, you can go back to Preferences in Blender and paste your API key in this blank space over here. After you've set all these up, you can close the Preference panel and migrate to this right inside of your screen where there's this like small arrow pointing out. We'll have to expand that arrow and find there are 3 panels. One of them should be BLOSM. That means BLOSM is working and you can go put in some coordinates for your airport now. You can go to select and this website should jump up and you can use the search function to find your airport. Might take a second to load. There we go. Now click on show selection rectangle and you can see everything in this rectangle is the selected area. You will want to include everything of the airport in the square, but also do not include too much space that is outside the airport because that will loosen the satellite image quality. And also you want it to be a square because it will be easier to scale it in Unity that way if the length and width are the same. So if we just adjust this to only slightly bigger than the airport and try and make this a square. Extend this more. That looks pretty good. It's 5.7 by 5.7 kilometers. Now you will hit copy and go back to Blender and click paste. Now you see all of these coordinates are transferred automatically to Blender. And you'll go down here to the data type of import and choose terrain first. And if you hit import, you can see the terrain here has been imported. And if you're not seeing the entire terrain, it's because the view of you have a very limited view of ending of the view, so you cannot see everything in one shot. So what you have to do is just make this a very big number here. And now if you can go, you can see the entirety of the terrain even at an angle like this. But now, as you can see, now we have the terrain, but we do not have any of the satellite imagery, and the terrain is also bumpy. So now what we want to do is get the satellite imagery first, and we'll go back to the data type of import, and this time we will choose image overlay. And then here you can choose either the ArcGIS satellite or the Mapbox satellite. It depends on which API key that you've gotten yourself. I've gotten the ArcGIS one, so I will just choose the ArcGIS satellite. And it is also important to click Save Overlay the file. If you didn't click this, you cannot find the PNG file in your directory of where to store your BLOSM stuff. And if you have just chosen, the PNG will show. And for the max number of tiles, the suggested range is from 2,000 to 5,000. Anything too low, such as the 256, you'll have very low quality satellite imagery that is very blurry. Anything too high, such as 10,000, might cause your computer to crash and the software to crash and you'll have nothing. So, for now, I will just put in 4,000. So it should give you a pretty nice quality satellite imagery while my computer can still handle it. And now we'll just have to click import and it'll take a while. You can see on the left hand side it says constantly importing tiles. There are 1,400 tiles in total and it'll just have to go through every single one of them. And I will come back when that is finished.
Eventually.
Okay, we are back and the import has been finished. But as you can see here, it still shows as empty blank terrain because we have not chosen the voice to fill the material. That can be done on the top right where there you can see there are 4 ball shapes. You have to choose the circle and that is called material preview. And if you choose that, you can see now the image overlay is over the terrain that you have imported. However, there is a very significant issue, and it's that there are holes and mountains all over the area of your airport, and obviously planes cannot taxi on these, so we will have to flatten this out before we export this to you. However, it is a good time to save your file first, so you don't lose your progress. You can save this to anywhere with any name you want. Save that first, and then now let's flatten these vertices. The way to do that is you have to go into edit mode on the top left here, and you can see there are all these vertices here. Now, let's go back and find the top-down view here. And here you have to choose select, and the best select, I'll suggest you either to choose box select or the circle select. I like the circle select the best myself. It's just like brushing over all of the vertices and selecting it. And right now, everything is selected, and let's just undo that. Okay. Now, let's use the circle select tool to select. If you just throw the scroll wheel in and out, you can change the size of the circle. Let's get ourselves a big size and just select every vertice that is on top of the airport that we want to flatten. Let's just do that. If you want to move, you can just hit escape and use this little hand here to move the view. You can also change the size smaller for these edges. Let's make sure every vertex on the airport is covered. And you see there might be some of these small gaps on the airport, and you'll have to maybe zoom in to take all of them out. Will be the best idea. Just zoom in and use the circle select tool to erase off them like that. You want every single vertex selected, so you won't have any point on your airport over your airport. And if you find area that you do not want to be flattened, you can just hit shift and then I'll still drag over it and it will just erase the area that you do not want. Let's make sure we select all of these vertices down here as well. If there are just ones that do not want to incorporate, you can also try the box select tool as well. But if it still doesn't want to incorporate, you might have to wait until you want to flatten the vertices once the first time, then go back in there and then select them again. So you might have to repeat this process multiple times to make sure all of the vertices are flattened. But okay, now we've chosen a different view over here. It has been successfully selected. Okay, now there we go. We have selected all the vertices over the airport area. And now all you have to do is you'll have to find the vertex that, so if you just go over to the side view here and just click on the arrows, you can see there are different colored arrows. And the one on the top bottom one, the one that you want them to flatten on, is the Z axis, which is the blue line. And what you have to do is click S, V, and then 0. You want to do that in order. While you're pressing S, press S first, and then then press V while still holding on to the S, and then finally press 0 while still holding on to both S and Z. And now you can see all of these vertices have been magically flattened, but at the end you make sure you want to click enter as well to save it. There you go. Now we have managed to successfully flatten all of these vertices right over here. If we go back to object mode here, we no longer have any more mountains over our airport. Now, we can finally export this over to Unity. How we're going to do that is go to File, Export, choose Export as FBX, and just save that somewhere. You don't have to worry about any of these. Just export. And now let's transfer that over to our to the Unity folder. So we find the FBX file here. Just drag that in. Wait, let's go to SKDO and drag this into SKDO. And okay, now that's imported, you can see we'll have to grab another thing, which is the imported overlay that we have just gotten. That will be under the directory you chose to store your BLOSM files, and then under texture, there should be an image in there called overlay.png, which is this one over here. You can see that it is pretty high quality. You want to grab that as well. Get that over to Unity as well. Okay. Now, we will just have to put this into Unity and match the airport file that we have imported. So we want to grab the FBX first and then put that in. Drag and drop. And what we have here is everything you put in there should be rotated by 180 degrees. And then we'll have to also move this down until it's below the airport file. Okay, it seems like it's right -20. 28.2. Yep, now that everything, the airport file is now above this terrain. And we'll just have to move to align it. This will just, you'll just have to do this step manually until it aligns with the airport file. So I'll have to move this a bit more. Okay. That looks pretty good. If you want to make it really precise, you can just take your time and really adjust this more. But this should be a good enough job for now. But as you can see, the image quality now over this FBX file is nor as good as we've seen in the overlay PNG, because this material is the one that came with the FBX file directly, and we want to change that. How are we going to do that is, first of all, let's go to this overlay image, and here in the inspector. In the import settings, you want to change the max size to as big as possible, and click apply. Give that a second to load, and boom, here we go. You can see this quality is now much better than the one we had with 2048. And if we take out the airport roads, you can clearly see all the taxiway lines here. And this is the best you can get with BLOSM, and since it's a free software, and yeah, you also have the terrain as well. If you imported a bigger section, it's not as big, but there's still some downs and terrain. This is much better than only like a flat imagery over your airport. And I think that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you find this helpful, and we will see you in the next one.